Baseball is an ever-changing sport, and with ever-changing sports, you have different eras that are associated with those sports. Pitching specifically has gone through many changes, starting from the early 1800s when there wasn't even a 60-foot mound to now where you're having guys throw hundreds of miles an hour. In an upcoming series of videos, we will be going through the top 4 pitchers of every era, starting in this video with the top 4 pitchers from the pre-MLB era going up all the way to 1900, pre-dead ball era. I'm Nichols with the 10th inning, and this is the top 4 pitchers in every era in baseball, starting with the pre-1900 era. Some considerable rule changes then. The mound made constant shifts back until it settled on 60 feet 6 inches. Players were not allowed to step until their windup until they eventually were, and the game was just being introduced. Rules were changing constantly with no one rule ever set. So, trying to become the best pitcher, not as easy as it sounds. Let's start with the fourth best pitcher from that era, John Clarkson. Clarkson pitched in 1882, then from 1884 to 1894. Compiling an 83.2 WAR, Clarkson went 328 and 178 over that time frame with a 2.81 ERA, 518 games started, 485 of them being complete games, 37 shutouts, 4,536 in the third inning, 1,978 strikeouts, 1,191 walks, a 1.290 whip, a 3.35 FIP, a 1.66 strikeout to walk ratio, and, maybe most importantly, a 133 ERA plus, which means he was 33% better than the average pitcher in that era. Clarkson's career really came to be after a shoulder injury limited him to 3 games during his 1882 season, causing him to miss the rest of the season to go with the entire 1883 season. To start the 1884 season, Clarkson had a strong curveball and a drop ball, which would now be considered a sinker, that eventually made him one of the best. 1885 saw Clarkson's win total at 53, increasing by 43 over 1884 to go with 308 strikeouts and 1 no-hitter in 623 innings. For his career, Clarkson rarely came out of games, throwing 485 complete games and 518 starts for a 93.6 percentage. From 1885 to 1892, Clarkson amassed at least 25 wins every season and never more than a 3.27 earned run average. He led the league in wins 3 times with 53, 38, and 49 during the 1885, 1887, and 1889 seasons respectively. Retiring after the 1894 season, Clarkson pitched 12 years in the big leagues and was easily one of the first dominant pitchers ever seen in the game. The next best pitcher of that era, we have Tim Keefe. Keefe pitched from 1880 to 1893, compiled an 86.9 WAR, went 342 and 225 over that time frame, with a 2.63 ERA, 594 games started, 554 complete games, 39 shutouts in 5,049 two-thirds innings, compiling 2,564 strikeouts, 1,233 walks, 1.123 whip, a 2.92 FIP, a 2.08 strikeout to walk ratio, and a 126 ERA plus. Keefe started his career as good as any player could dream of in today's standards. However, due to his win-loss percentage, he was only, quote, okay. Going 6-6 in 12 games during the 1880 season, while pitching from 45 feet, Keefe posted a 0.86 ERA to go with a 0.800 whip during his first season. A great introduction to the league, Keefe's first full season came when the league switched to 50 feet, and he was just as good, though his stats were not otherworldly like they were in 1880. The next time otherworldly numbers came was during the 1883 season, where Keefe started 68 games and threw 68 complete games for 619 innings, still a major league record. This came during his first season in the American Association, and he stayed there through 1884 before rejoining the National League as a New York Giant. In his return to MLB, Keefe led the league in ERA in 1885 at 1.58 and 1888 at 1.74, before leading the league in wins during the 1886 and 1888 seasons with 42 and 35. After the 1888 season, Keefe experienced a fall off from his previous production and won 79 games from 1889 through 1893. Playing only one season when the league transitioned from 50-foot mounds to 60-foot mounds, Keefe will always be remembered as the game's greatest pitcher from a 50-foot difference. A strikeout pitcher, Keefe has the distinction of being the first player to have 3 separate seasons throwing 300 or more strikeouts. He left the game the all-time strikeout leader with 2,564. Now, one only knows how good Keefe would have been at today's distance, but for his era at 50 feet, Keefe was an all-time great, and he is the third best pitcher of the pre-1900 era. The second best pitcher we have, he is actually one of the best pitchers of all time, and this included the pre-1900 era. We have Cy Young. Young pitched from 1890 to 1900 in this era, compiled a 95.1 WAR with a record of 286 and 169, a 3.04 ERA, 446 games started, 418 complete games, 32 shutouts, 4,043 and two-thirds innings pitched, 1,240 strikeouts, 804 walks, a 1.236 whip, a 3.41 FIP, a 1.54 strikeout to walk ratio, and a 138 ERA plus. Young is an interesting case here as his career really spanned 2 different eras. One of the best of all time, Young dominated both eras and compiled statistics that make him one of the best and most remembered pitchers of all time. Joining the Cleveland Spiders in 1890, Young was a good pitcher and only really got better, showing how good he truly could be in 1892 when he led the league in wins with 36, ERA at 1.93, and WHIP at 1.062. The ERA rose a bit when the mound moved back, however, Young remained one of the best. Primarily using his one pitch, a fastball, Young added a slow ball in the 1895 season and he became even more unhittable. Tossing his first no-hitter during the 1897 season, Young led the league in wins twice during this time frame in 1892 and 1895, winning 36 and 35 games. Not a huge strikeout guy, Young did lead the league in 1896 with 140. Throwing complete games in 93.7% of his starts, nobody was better when he was on. While maybe not the best of the era, Young's longevity made him special, and entering the deadball era, he remained just as dominant, if not more. But this was only good for the number 2 spot in the pre-1900 era. That number 1 spot has to go to Kid Nichols. Kid Nichols pitched from 1890 to 1900, just like Cy Young did during this era, but he compiled a 104.0 WAR, a 311 and 167 record, a 2.98 ERA in 468 games started, throwing complete games in 443 of them, with 40 shutouts, 4,228 innings pitched, 1,537 strikeouts, 1,073 walks, a 1.234 whip, a 3.61 FIP, a 1.43 strikeout to walk ratio, and a 145 ERA plus. Pitching 11 seasons in the era, Nichols won at least 20 games in 10 of the 11 seasons, while winning 30 or more in 7 of those seasons. Leading the league in wins in 1896, 1897, and 1898, Nichols tallied 30, 31, and 31 victories in those seasons. Nichols started pitching when the mound was 50 feet from the plate and transitioned to the 60 feet 6 inches mark, but he did not miss a beat when that transition happened. The 2 seasons after the change in 1893 and 1894, Nichols would post his highest ERAs of the time frame at 3.52 and 4.75. Otherwise, Nichols was just as great as keeping his ERA under 3 in 7 seasons en route to 311 victories. Not pitching as many innings as someone like Keefe or Clarkson, Nichols was great when the Boston Beaneaters needed him. While the innings may not have been the same, Nichols pitched complete games in 94.7 of his starts, and was one of the best at not allowing runners on base. Nichols became the youngest pitcher ever to reach 300 career victories at only 30 years old. One of the most dominant pitchers of his era, were it not for Cy Young, Nichols would be remembered as one of the best of his era and maybe the best of all time. Fading after 1900, longevity is the only reason the all-time remembrance is not there. But Nichols was easily the benchmark of pre-1900 baseball, and he is taking that number one spot.